Namaste. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Erzsébet Túrós, medical doctor and homeopath from Cluj, Romania. In the next, I would like to speak about how homeopathy can help a person to overcome bullying. First, I would like to say a few things about myself. So as I said, I am medical doctor and homeopath. I am specialist in family medicine, and I have been trained in family therapy. I have a master's degree in psychological counseling and psychotherapy. I worked 20 years in psychiatry, where I innovated the treatment through introducing occupational therapy and art therapy. For all of my activity, I was nominated for Nobel Peace Prize in 2005. I started to study homeopathy in Bucharest in 2011, followed by a 2-year e-learning course with Professor George Vitulkas. Started from 2016, I followed many online courses about repertorization and mentoring at the Other Sangha Academy in Mumbai. I followed a master course with Dr. Rajan Shankaran in 2018, and I had the chance to participate on my week with Rajan in this year too. I followed also many video lectures by Dr. Gaurang Gaikwad. In this huge book, you can find the story about my activity, and the motto which guided me all the time was that the greatest good you can do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to him his own. After I became a homeopath, I tried to spread awareness about the beautiful potential of homeopathy. So I participated on different workshops, conferences organized in Cluj. I have spoken also in radio and television repeated times. And now let's see what is bullying. Bullying is an aggressive behavior characterized by hostile intent. The harm is deliberate, not accidental. There is an imbalance of power, a real or perceived power inequity between the bully and the victim, and it has to be a repetition over a period of time. There has to be also 2 additional criteria: the victim distress on psychological level, on social level, or physical trauma, and a provocation. What are the effects on victim of bullying? We can speak here about short-term effects like depression, anxiety, anger, helplessness, significant drop in school performance, and even suicide. And there are the long-term effects like feeling insecure, lack of trust, extreme sensitivity. The person became hypervigilant, can present an avoidant personality, or even a post-traumatic stress disorder or other health issues. What about the bullying in Romania? I don't know what is the situation in India, but unfortunately, in Romania, according to a report by the World Health Organization, the school bullying places Romania in 3rd place in Europe. So that is why it is a quite serious condition, and I think that we have to pay attention. What about the homeopathic approach? For a homeopath, it is quite a challenging case because this with bullying, because the person is coming to you and the story is about that others did this or that to the person. So the person perceives herself as a victim. But in homeopathy, we know that there are some basic principles formulated by Samuel Hahnemann, and maybe the most important of these principles are the individualization, which means that we treat the person, not the disease, and the other one is the holism, which means that we take in consideration the totality of the symptoms on mental, emotional, and physical level, but also the causality and the life circumstances. So as I said, from the homeopathic point of view, it is very important to put this question: what makes a person a victim? And the best answer we can find in Dr. Rajan Shankaran's book, The Other Song, Discovering Your Parallel Self, where he had written, At some point, we realized that stress does not come from outside us, but from the way we perceive reality and react to it. And this is unique to each of us. Most of us realize that in the end, it doesn't help us to change external circumstances at all, but we have to understand what stress generates. This sensation is our constant companion. It is the other song that is always heard inside us. So, what about the case? So my case was a 15-year-old girl who perceived herself as a victim of school bullying. The first consultation took place in November last year. She came with 3 psychiatric diagnoses: performance anxiety, panic attacks, and obsessive-compulsive disease. About her case history, at the age of 6-year-old, she was operated for strabismus. At the age of 11 years old, she presented exhaustion, restlessness, trembling, excessive worrying about her school performance. So that was why she was consulted by psychiatrist and neurologist. At the age of 12, she was already diagnosed with performance anxiety and she was treated with sertraline. But her evolution was not good, and at the age of 13, she got other diagnoses, the obsessive-compulsive disease, and she was treated with Feverin for 8 months, but the evolution was stationary. Since 1 year, she is following also individual psychotherapy, but the evolution was in the same way stationary. That was why they came to the homeopath. So she presented as chief complaints that she is suffering from bullying in her school since many, many years. And the phenomenon became so seriously that 3 months before, her parents sold their house and moved in another city just to take distance from her old schoolmates. So she started the 9th class in the new city with new schoolmates. But 2 months after she started the school in the new city, she started feeling again that she is bullied. So she has also an obsessive compulsive behavior, washing her hands frequently and turning off the light repeatedly. And she has a constant high level of anxiety. In homeopathy, we know that it is very important are the observations. So my first observations at their first visit was as follows. The patient came together with her mother. She is a teen young girl, very timid, avoiding eye contact. The mother started to tell the complaints, but she interrupted her and continued her story. She has a very specific loquacity, a hasty way of speaking without eye contact, asking many, many questions. She was crying all along the consultation. About her nature and her perception of the problem, so she told me that she is a very anxious person who used to worry a lot. She is also perfectionist, used to learn a lot for being the first in her class. She feels attacked by her classmates. They consider that she is the teacher's favorite. There is a girl who is always superior to her, so she feels hated by her. She was suffering a lot also. There were one girl who was her friend, but the other girl stole that single friend of her. Also, other classmates behaved very badly with her. Everyone gossiping about everyone. Every day she goes home crying. So she feels excluded all the time. She is disappointed, always despised by others. She felt exploited by others regarding her homeworks, but she has no courage to turn against them because the other girl manipulated the whole class. She was never self-confident. She felt always looked down by others. She was accused that she arranged her marks, which she has never done. Even her best friend didn't support her. She had no good relationship with anyone in her class. Her mood is very changeable. Asking about her fears, I find out that she has fear of being rejected. She has fear of being alone. And she feels very lonely. She has also fear of diseases, of bacteria, and that is why she washes her friends frequently. She has fear of future, fear that she cannot make friends in this new school either. This was a very big fear of her. She has fear that she will be disliked even in this new school, fear that she cannot fit in this class also, fear that she destroys everybody's life, especially her family's life. She used to feel hopeless, cannot see the sense of her life. She has fear that she cannot control her thoughts. And she is full of negative thoughts. She is thinking that she is ugly, disgusting, irritating, and she also feels irritated by others. She is full of guilt, sadness, because of moving her family in the new city. She cannot manage properly the time, spending too much time on checking her phone. She feels jealous on others who are more popular than she is. She used to be impatient if her family does not give attention to her. She cannot hurry, not in the morning, neither with homeworks, is always late. She likes being consolated, would need the company of others. She cannot open up, cannot be herself. She used to anger easily on slightest things. When I asked her about what is the biggest stress in her life and about her interest, I find out that the biggest stress is that she felt excluded from class and the relocation of her family. She is weeping a lot at home, but not in the class, not to be perceived as a weak person. She likes to read, to swim, the feeling of happiness after exams, but before exams she has panic attacks, feeling of suffocation. She liked very much her dog in their old house. For her, the dog was like a family member. About her relationship with her family members, with her mother, the mother is her best friend, but there was an ambivalence because she encountered her anger also on the mother. With the father, she has no good relationship, and with sister, she used to fight a lot. About her dreams and sleep, she has dreams about animals like dogs and cats, traveling, accidents, the death of her father. She used to dream about exams and losing her teeth. She used to go to sleep late after midnight, and it happened to have sleeplessness because of constant worrying. Her sleep position is on abdomen. About her physical generals, she presented obstructed nose, alternative side. She used to be sensitive on odors and noise. She presenting a headache on stress. About her appetite, she is hungry constantly. She has a desire for sweets, meat, onion, and aversion for fish and cabbage. She used to be thirstless, constipated, chilly, and she has irregular menses. So now if I try to analyze her symptoms from the system point of view, we can observe that there are the following themes. The victim-aggressor theme is there. This theme of she versus others, the others can be the classmates or her sister. There is also the theme of hierarchy, superior, the other girl is superior and she is inferior, she feels despised, rejected, excluded. There is also the theme of the persecution, everybody gossiping everybody, and the constant conflict, being accused that she arranged her marks. There is also the theme of attractiveness because she is considering herself ugly, irritating. And the competitiveness, she is jealous and who are more popular than she is. So all these issues points that the remedy belong to the animal kingdom. But there is also another theme, this belonging to the group is very important for her. So she needs the company of others. Alone being, she feels lonely. Others' opinion is important for her, and she feels guilt for her family. So all these issues point to the mammal group. And now if I repertorized her mind symptoms, taking in consideration the most important things like illness from anticipation, she has desire for company and aggravated when is alone, her low self-confidence, the delusion of being despised, of being insulted, the delusion of being looked down upon. This was very strong in her case. And as you can see here, we have only 5 remedies. She presented also fear when she was alone, fear of contagion. And the next one, which is a single remedy rubric, I consider that this was the core of her case, that she has this fear of being separation from friends. Although she felt excluded and not accepted by her friends, still this feeling of belonging was very strong in her case. So this rubric, which is a single remedy rubric, is the genius of her case. And as we can see here, we have a single remedy like Canino. And of course, the jealousy, the changeable mood, and I took in consideration also her compulsion to wash her hands constantly. And as you can see, the lecaninum cover all these symptoms. If we repertorize her physical generals, so in the sectorial repertorization of the physical general symptoms, we can see that we have the same remedies. Here also we have very specific symptoms like nose obstruction, alternative sides, the irregularity of her menses, the sleep position, and also the dreams are typical for lec canino. And now if we read the Materia Medica about the lec canino, I find that the best description is given by Dr. Rajan Shankaran in his book, The Soul of Remedies, where he had written, the main theme of lec caninum is dominance, the bigger dominating the smaller, and who is going to be on top. They develop a feeling of low self-worth, I am not good enough, feel dirty and horrible, and become contemptuous of themselves. This dirty feeling is also common to animal remedies, and it is similar to the feeling of Umbra grisea, prepared from the sperm whale. Lec caninum patients suffer by comparison with others. They try hard to please, to be liked, cared for, and accepted because they feel left out and rejected. They can develop malice and hatred because they hold somebody else responsible for their condition. She feels she is uncared for and neglected because her body looks bad. She starts feeling dirty and washes herself frequently. So that was exactly her situation. And this was the reason why she presented this obsessive compulsive disease. From Mangialavori's edition about lec caninum, we can read that presenting this contradiction of will, another very typical rubric is that undertakes things opposed to his intention. Here we have only 3 remedies. One of them we know that is sepia, but according to Mangialavori, this rubric is also typical for lec caninum. They have this forsaken feeling, anxiety about his family, and also in Mangialavori we can find exactly this dream about animals, about dogs. And in Robert Remedies, we can read beautifully, is written that she is of no account, is looked down on by everyone and is insulted thereby. This was exactly how she felt. So I gave her lec caninum, 1 m, 2 doses for 2 days. And the remedy, as we know it, belonged to the psychotic miasm. On the follow-up, which happened in 7 January, after 6 weeks, I find out that after the remedy, she was feeling better, was not sad, no weeping. She is no more so irritated. She started feeling being appreciated. She said, it is not good that I want to please others. Now, it does not bother her if others are seeing her bad parts also. She said, there is in me not to give up. Her compulsion to wash her hands and turning off the light reduced. Her nose is no more obstructed, had neither headache. Her menses started 3 days after the remedy. It is important to say that earlier months she had no menses. But still, she has some symptoms there. So she has a fear from people. She is constantly preoccupied that are the others loving me or hating me? She is feeling excluded even now and looked down upon. She failed to fit in this new class. She said, I am not belonging to them. I can't be natural, can't be myself. And she feels very irritated when others are laughing around me, she said. And this was a very intense symptoms because she repeated many times, and also it is very peculiar. So in the next, I will try to find out what is it about. There was another very peculiar thing for her. She said that she cannot go to the toilet at the school. She holds to back until she gets home. Another thing was that she cannot stay silently. She said that it makes her tense. She speaks too much compulsorily just to avoid silence. And of course, there were also other things like she is missing their old house, their dog. She presented also sleeplessness from worrying, and she used to go to sleep late. So now I repertorized again her symptoms, taking in consideration these intense symptoms and peculiar symptoms. And as you can see here, I find this very typical rubric, the mind disgust at laughing of others, which was very intense in her case and very peculiar. And this is a single remedy rubric, the remedy being Umbra grisea. And she presented also the other very interesting keynote symptom, the disgust on odor of his own stool. It is again Umbra grisea. I took in consideration her loquacity, the question one after another without waiting for the answer. And I remember that at the first consultation, she said that she likes the swimming. So as you can see here, this rubric is also a very small rubric with only 3 remedies, and one of them is Umbra grisea. And another very intense symptom of her was this timidity in public, about appearing in public. So that is how I can translate that she has this fear from people. And as you can see here, so the remedy was Umbra grisea. Now, if we read about Umbra from the Materia Medica, from the same book, from Dr. Rajan Shankaran, The Soul of Remedies, it is written that Umbra feels a tremendous sense of embarrassment. This embarrassment is more when it comes to personal habits like passing stool and urine. This feeling of embarrassment creates tremendous shyness in company and in the presence of strangers. Young girls with this Umbra feeling in their embarrassment can talk in a flitting, flighty manner. And this was exactly how her talk was. From the Morrison Desktop Guide, we can read about Umbra, this thing that asks questions but does not wait for the answer before saying something else. So there is this silly loquacity. There is the aversion to company, especially strangers, because of her great shyness. An intolerant of company when defecating, can't pass stool or urine in the presence of the nurse, or if someone else is in the room, or even in the house in a public restrooms. The great sensitivity to noise and music. So now I gave to her Umbra grisea. In totally, I gave her 2 doses in January and repeating in March. And on the follow-up after 6 months, I find out that she is feeling much better. She used to weep no more after school. She is more brave and more open. And now, if I would like to make the differential diagnosis between Umbra and Lec caninum, we know that both of the remedies which is common for both of the remedies, is the very low self-confidence. About Leccaninum, from Shankaran's Spirit of Homeopathy, we can read that the central feeling of Leccaninum is, I am not good enough, I hate myself, I am fat and ugly, and I feel dirty and horrible. So nobody likes me or can like me, I'm not clever enough, everything I say is stupid and foolish. So there is this contempt of self, that this delusion that she is looked down upon. And that is why in the first place, because these symptoms were very strong in this case, Leccaninum helped her. Leccaninum was also very good remedy for the compulsion. So that is why in the first step, Leccaninum helped her with her obsessive compulsive disease. And about Umbra, from Bödler's Psychic Causes, we can read that Umbra grisea, nervously shy and hypersensitive, is prone to despair and sadness, and music causes weeping. These patients also feel a strong timidity in the presence of others. For example, they are unable to go to the bathroom in front of other people, and they feel hasty and nervously excited when talking. So I understand this case that there are many layers because of her suffering happened in many years. So with Leccaninum, I can manage her most upper superficial layer of the disease, which was the obsessive compulsive disease, which was diagnosed at the last diagnosis. And but under this layer, she had this other layer of very intense timidity and hypersensitiveness and shyness, which correspond to this Umbra state. And this explained her performance anxiety, which was diagnosed first. So it is very beautiful that in homeopathy, we know that the direction of the cure is vice versa as the pathology is arrived. So the superficial, the most upper layer of her suffering was the obsessive compulsive disease. This was diagnosed as the last diagnosis, and this was cured by Leccaninum. But under this, she had another layer corresponding to her very intense anxiety, shyness, and hypersensitiveness, and this was cured by Umbra. So in conclusion, homeopathy can help very effectively the victim of bullying through strengthening and healing them from within. And I think that it would be very important to take in consideration this role of the homeopathy, especially that most of the patients who are presenting this suffering from being bullied, they are children. Homeopathy can be combined also with different forms of psychotherapy. Homeopathy treats the person, individual and holistic, and it has no any side effect. So in conclusion, I would like to quote again what Dr. Rajan Shankaran had written in his book, The Spirit of Homeopathy. The disease is a delusion and awareness means healing. Disease is a limitation of vision, a narrow way of looking at things. Only the awareness of this illusion can remove it, just as light removes darkness. Meditation, philosophy, and psychoanalysis have to do largely with the awareness of the false perception of the present. Homeopathy is also based on this. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for inviting me for this presentation. And at the end, I would like to remind all of us that the beauty we see in another soul is a reflection of our own. Here you have my contact details, and if you do have questions, please write to me. Thank you very much. Namaste.